Waleed, welcome to Stackleback on Terror.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you here, and I want to start with one of the themes of your book. And in it, you talk about how the U.S. government has reached out to the wrong people in the Middle East. Talk about that a bit.
Look, over the past 4 years, the bureaucracy, and over the past 2 years, now the administration, is reaching out to the wrong people. They want to partner with the Muslim Brotherhood. They want to engage with the Taliban. They want to find moderates in Hezbollah. Now, these are the forces of oppression. These are the forces basically who wants to eliminate the minorities. Instead, the administration, the U.S. in general, should be reaching to the dissidents, to the forces of democracy, which are really seen all over the region, from Iran to Beirut to southern Sudan to the Berbers.
I want to ask you more about that, but first, before we go on, you mentioned the Muslim Brotherhood, you mentioned Hezbollah. Just for our viewers, some might not know the full ideology of those groups, why it's so bad to reach out to them. Tell us briefly what the Muslim Brotherhood wants, and briefly what Hezbollah and the Iranian-backed Shias want, what their vision for the world is.
Look, the Muslim Brotherhood, the Salafists, the Wahhabis, all these call themselves the Salafi jihadists. They want to reestablish a caliphate in the 21st century. That means they want to bring down 21 Arab governments as we know them, and not always good, and 52 Muslim states, and create instead a pan-Islamist Taliban-like regime which will suppress the minorities, which will cancel freedom of religion, which will lower the level of rights of women, and which will wage basically a jihad war against the West. The jihadi Khomeinist of Iran, the Shia background jihadi Khomeinist, wants to establish an Islamic republic, wants to strengthen Hezbollah, and wants to obtain the nuclear device.
It's a nightmare scenario, obviously. So why do you think the U.S. government is reaching out to these jihadist elements that want to wipe us off the map?
Look, because of the advisors of the bureaucracy and of the administration, most of the advice that we're getting is compromised. Petrodollars for the last 20 years have been funding our Middle Eastern studies, our Islamic studies. So who do you want to be produced by these compromised expertise? Unfortunately, we need to reform Middle Eastern studies, but at this point in time, the public needs to be aware, and that's what we are educating the public.
Why is it still so important to promote Arab Democrats, Arab reformers? I know a lot of people here in Washington have said, oh, it's not worth it. Democracy in the Middle East just won't happen. Why do you say in the book that it's so important to continue on that track and not give up hope there?
Because look what happened during the Cold War. There was the Budapest uprising. It was crushed. There was a Spring of Prague. It was ended. There was the demonstrations of the workers under Lech Walesa and Václav Havel. At the end of the day, the whole Soviet Union collapsed. So what we're having in the Middle East is something comparable, not identical. We've got the Cedars Revolution in Lebanon, 1.5 million people in the streets of Beirut. The Green Revolution in Iran, 1.5 million people in the streets of Tehran. The separation and self-determination of southern Sudan. The black uprising in Darfur and in the Beja areas of Sudan. The Berbers in northern Africa. We have a trend for freedom. What we don't have is a U.S. policy to partner with these Muslim Democrats and Middle Eastern Democrats, and even also the Christian Middle Easterns who will join also the train of democracy.
The average American doesn't even know about these movements you're talking about. How badly did the Iraq War and the attempts to bring democracy there, in the eyes of the American public, probably not very popular, how badly did that hurt the cause of Arab reformers?
Look, the dissidents that I speak with in democracy forces, Christian, Muslim, and others all tell us that the United States giving visibility to our NGOs, giving visibility to our leaders, to our causes, is all what we need at this point in time. We are persecuted with or without your intervention, so it's better that we are now known internationally and we are known to each other. What we've done is to liberate the Iraqis. What we have not done is to partner with the democracy forces in Iraq. Same goes for Afghanistan.
When we talk about democracy in the Middle East, the elephant in the room is Islam. Can Islam and true democracy be compatible, especially in the Middle East, where we have such a history of tyranny?
Human nature has shown in other parts of the world, including in ancient Europe and other parts of the world, that ideologies and all principles will have to cope with human nature, not the other way around. So in the Middle East, if you have an Islamic caliphate, if there is a Sharia which is pushed by the Muslim Brotherhood or the Khomeinists or others, at the end of the day, civil societies will rise and they will shape ideologies and they will shape the constitutions that they want. So yes, there will have to be reforms, but those reforms can only be possible when civil society is free. So first the battle of freedom, and then we'll engage in the battle of reform.
Thank you so much. The book is The Coming Revolution. It's a great read. Thanks, Waleed.
Thank you for having me.
Waleed Phares is one of the world's top analysts on terrorism in the Middle East. It's always a pleasure to pick his brain. Can the coming revolution he describes really happen in the Middle East? I pray that it can. What I do know for certain is that something's got to give there, and soon.